Faith and obedience are the foundation upon which miracles are built. Faith is more than belief. It is trust in the unseen, confidence in God's promises, even when circumstances say otherwise. It is the unwavering assurance that what God has spoken will come to pass regardless of current realities. But faith alone is incomplete without obedience. Obedience is the action that gives faith its power. It is the step forward when the natural mind hesitates, the choice to move in alignment with God's instructions, even when the path is unclear or challenging. Miracles require this dynamic partnership of faith and obedience because God's supernatural work often demands movement beyond what is comfortable or known. When God calls you to pack your bags and move, it is a call to trust Him with everything you cannot yet see. It is a leap into the unknown, fueled by faith that His guidance is perfect and His timing impeccable. Obedience in this context means releasing control and following His lead without delay or question. It is saying yes to God's call, even when doubts whisper or fear threatens to paralyze. This active faith-obedience relationship is what transforms the impossible into the inevitable. It is the mechanism through which God activates miracles in your life. When you respond to God's prompting with obedience, you position yourself in the perfect place for His power to manifest. Inaction or resistance interrupts this divine flow, delaying the breakthrough that God desires to release. Faith without works is dormant, but faith in motion through obedience becomes a catalyst for the miraculous. Walking by faith means trusting God's promises more than your current feelings or external circumstances. It means believing in His goodness and sovereignty even when the road ahead is shrouded in mystery. Obedience means moving forward with confidence, knowing that God's instructions are designed for your blessing, growth, and breakthrough. Together, faith and obedience break the chains of fear and doubt, open doors that seem closed, and invite God's intervention in ways beyond human comprehension. In the season God is moving you into, your willingness to act on His word is critical. Miracles do not come to those who wait passively, but to those who step out courageously. Your faith is the key, and your obedience is the door that opens to receive the fullness of God's miraculous favor. Trust deeply, move boldly, and watch as the supernatural unfolds in your life, proving that where faith leads, God's miracles follow. In this new season that God is moving you into, expect a profound transformation, a radical shift that changes scarcity into abundance, weakness into strength, and confusion into clarity. This is not merely a superficial change, but a deep, foundational renewal that affects every area of your life. Scarcity, which may have characterized your past, whether in resources, opportunities, or peace, will give way to God's overflowing provision. The empty cups will be filled. The barren fields will yield harvests beyond your expectations. This abundance is a sign of God's favor, a tangible demonstration that He is moving you from a place of lack into a place of plenty. Weakness, too, will be transformed. The challenges that once drained your energy and willpower will no longer define you. Instead, God's strength will be made perfect in your weakness, empowering you to rise above every obstacle. What once left you feeling vulnerable and defeated will become the very source of your resilience and victory. This strength is not merely physical or emotional, but spiritual, an empowerment that sustains you, lifts you, and propels you forward when natural strength fails. It is the power of the Holy Spirit working in and through you to accomplish what human effort alone cannot. Confusion, which may have clouded your decisions and caused uncertainty about your direction, will be replaced by clarity. God will illuminate your path with divine insight and wisdom. In this new season, the fog of doubt will lift, and you will see clearly where to go and what to do. The hesitation caused by not knowing will be replaced by confident steps in the direction God has ordained. This clarity is a gift of the Spirit, guiding your thoughts, decisions, and actions so that you move not blindly but with purpose and precision. This transformation from scarcity to abundance, weakness to strength, and confusion to clarity is a sign that God is not just changing your situation, He is renewing your very identity. It signals that you are being prepared to operate at a higher level, equipped with the resources, strength, and understanding needed to fulfill your divine purpose. These changes will not happen all at once, but will unfold progressively as you cooperate with God's timing and continue to trust His process. The enemy often tries to convince you that lack, weakness, and confusion are permanent states. But this new season declares otherwise. It announces that what once was broken is being restored, that every limitation is being removed, and that divine empowerment is replacing human frailty. As you step into this season, expect to see these transformations take root in your life, because God's hand is moving powerfully to reposition you in favor, authority, and supernatural enablement. This is the divine exchange, where your struggles become testimonies and your limitations become platforms for God's glory. God's movement in your life is not just a simple change of scenery. It is a divine relocation, a purposeful repositioning from a place of struggle into a realm of supernatural favor and victory. This relocation is a spiritual shift that alters your environment, your circumstances, and your destiny. It is God taking you out of the wilderness of hardship and placing you into a promised land of blessing. The struggles you have endured were never meant to be your permanent residence. They were preparatory stages designed to strengthen and refine you. Now God is orchestrating a move that will elevate you above every difficulty and limitation. This divine relocation means that you are being positioned strategically where God's favor is abundant and His blessings flow freely. It is a transfer from scarcity to plenty, from opposition to open doors, from isolation to divine connection. When God moves you, He places you exactly where you need to be to fulfill His plan. This place is not random or accidental. It is tailored to your unique calling and purpose. The relocation is also a change in spiritual atmosphere. Where discouragement once hovered, hope now reigns. Where confusion clouded your vision, clarity now shines. Victory is the hallmark of this new position. No longer will you be overwhelmed by challenges or defeated by setbacks. God's hand will guide you to triumph in situations that once seemed impossible. This is a season where your faith will be validated by tangible breakthroughs, and your testimony will reflect the power of God's intervention. Every battle you faced before now serves as a testimony that prepares you to walk boldly into this new chapter. The supernatural favor that accompanies this relocation is more than luck or coincidence. It is a divine advantage that causes circumstances, people, and opportunities to align in your favor. Doors that were previously locked will open with ease. Favor will go before you, preparing the way for success. This favor is God's supernatural endorsement that protects, promotes, and propels you. Understanding that God is relocating you empowers you to release fear and uncertainty about the unknown. It reminds you that this move is not your own doing, but a sovereign act of God's grace and power. It is a promise that the struggles of the past do not define your future, and that your current challenges are merely temporary waypoints on your journey to glory. This divine relocation calls for faith to step out confidently, knowing that God's hand is leading you into a season marked by victory and supernatural breakthrough. It is an invitation to embrace change, to leave behind what no longer serves you, and to receive the abundant blessings waiting on the other side. God is not just moving you, He is elevating you into a new realm where His favor reigns and your destiny unfolds in fullness. What the enemy intended for harm, God is masterfully turning into your greatest testimony. Every setback, every disappointment, every moment that seemed like failure is being transformed into a stepping stone toward your breakthrough. The struggles you faced were not random misfortunes, but part of a divine process that shapes your character, strengthens your faith, and prepares you for the victories ahead. The enemy's plan was to keep you discouraged, defeated, and disconnected from your purpose. But God's plan is to redeem every painful experience and use it as fuel for your advancement. This transformation happens when you begin to see beyond the immediate pain and recognize that God's hand is working even in the darkest moments. Your setbacks are not the end of the story. They are the foundation of a powerful testimony. They testify not to your failure, but to God's faithfulness, power, and ability to turn things around. When you share your story, it will inspire others because it will reveal the reality that God's grace can restore what was lost and elevate what was broken. The enemy's attempts to sabotage your destiny are being overturned by the divine exchange of loss for gain, sorrow for joy, and mourning for celebration. Every disappointment is being rewritten into a narrative of triumph. This transformation requires faith to trust God's process and patience to endure the refining period. It also calls for courage to keep moving forward even when the evidence of breakthrough is not yet visible. Your testimony will be a powerful declaration that no matter how dire the circumstances seemed, God's intervention is greater. It will speak to the supernatural power that turned your situation around and brought miracles where human effort failed. This reversal not only glorifies God, but also affirms your identity as a person who has overcome through divine strength. The shift from setback to testimony is a hallmark of the new season you are entering. It is a spiritual victory that rewrites your history and sets the stage for greater accomplishments. Rather than being defined by past hurts, you are now defined by the power of God's restoration and the hope of your future. This transformation is not just personal. It becomes a beacon of hope and encouragement for everyone who witnesses your journey. In essence, God's ability to turn what was meant for harm into your highest blessing demonstrates that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It proves that divine purpose can emerge even from the most difficult trials. Your setbacks are not your story's end, but the prologue to a testimony that will declare God's goodness and your triumphant destiny. The call to immediate response in the face of God's movement is crucial because miracles are often time-sensitive and require your willingness to act without hesitation. Delaying your steps, procrastinating, or waiting for the perfect moment can cause you to miss the divine appointments God has orchestrated specifically for you. God's timing is perfect, but it demands that you align your timing with His. The longer you linger in hesitation, the greater the risk that opportunities will pass you by and the momentum of favor will wane. Immediate response is an act of faith in itself. It says, I trust that God's plan is better than my fears or uncertainties. It is the difference between standing still in the valley of waiting and moving forward into the mountain of breakthrough. When God moves, He does not wait for you to feel ready. He waits for your obedience. This urgency is not about rushing blindly, but about recognizing the importance of the moment and stepping out decisively in faith. The moment you sense God's call to move, you must rise with purpose and confidence. Waiting passively can become a trap, feeding doubt and fear instead of faith and boldness. Miracles come to those who respond swiftly and align their actions with God's will. Your readiness to act is a gateway that unlocks supernatural favor and acceleration. This immediate response also involves a willingness to leave behind comfort zones and familiar patterns. It requires courage to embrace uncertainty and step into the unknown. But in doing so, you position yourself for God's miraculous intervention. The divine hand that leads you will not fail, but it requires your active participation. Delays, excuses, or resistance create friction that can stall God's movement in your life. Conversely, prompt action fuels the flow of divine blessings and opens the door for unprecedented breakthroughs. The seasons of waiting end the moment you decide to move. Your miracle is not held in some distant future. It is activated the instant you choose to obey. In this way, immediacy is a spiritual principle tied to faith and obedience. It transforms possibility into reality and promise into possession. When you respond immediately, you demonstrate trust in God's sovereignty and a readiness to partner with Him in your destiny. This posture invites God's favor to accelerate your journey and release the miracles He has prepared for you. The key is to move now, because God's miracle season is already underway, and your breakthrough awaits your step of faith. Embracing the unknown requires a level of trust that transcends human understanding. It is stepping into a divine mystery with confidence rooted not in sight, but in the character and promises of God. When God calls you to move into a new season, often the path ahead is unclear, the details are hidden, and the future feels uncertain. This uncertainty can provoke fear, hesitation, and doubt, but embracing the unknown means choosing faith over fear, courage over comfort, and obedience over doubt. Trusting God in this process means recognizing that He is the author of your story and that every step He leads you to take is part of a greater plan designed for your ultimate good. The unknown is not a void to fear, but a canvas on which God will paint His miraculous work. It is an invitation to release control, to surrender the need for full understanding, and to walk boldly into the future with the assurance that God's presence goes before you. This trust is active, not passive. It requires you to move forward despite the lack of clarity, to take steps of faith even when you cannot see the entire staircase. It means listening intently for God's voice, obeying His promptings, and remaining sensitive to His guidance. Embracing the unknown is a posture of openness to divine possibilities rather than a retreat into uncertainty or anxiety. The unknown also challenges you to grow in spiritual maturity. It stretches your faith muscles, teaching you to rely more deeply on God and less on your own understanding. In this space of uncertainty, your relationship with God becomes the anchor that steadies you. The unknown becomes a proving ground where your trust is tested and refined, preparing you to receive the fullness of God's promises. Moreover, embracing the unknown requires letting go of past security and familiar patterns. It means walking away from what is comfortable and stepping into new environments, new relationships, and new opportunities. This process can be unsettling, but it is necessary for breakthrough and growth. God's best is often found on the other side of uncertainty. When you embrace the unknown with faith, you open yourself to experiencing miracles that defy logic and surpass expectations. You position yourself to receive divine strategies, supernatural provision, and unexplainable favor. God honors those who trust Him without having all the answers, and He delights in leading them into abundant blessings. Ultimately, embracing the unknown is a declaration of faith that God is greater than your fears and that His plan for your life is perfect. It is the willingness to move forward in obedience, knowing that even when the way is hidden, God's light will guide your steps. This posture unlocks a future filled with hope, purpose, and miraculous breakthroughs, proving that when you trust God with the unknown, He transforms uncertainty into a pathway of divine destiny. Listen carefully, because this is not just another message. It is a divine summons. When God moves, He does not dawdle or delay. He does not negotiate with circumstances or linger in comfort zones. He speaks and the mountains listen. He commands and the seas obey. Right now, you stand on the edge of a new season, one crafted not by chance, but by the intentional hand of the Almighty. This season is not about your past limitations, your previous setbacks, or the voices that said you could not. No, this is a season that demands preparation, urgency, and faith activated into motion. Pack your bags, not with hesitation, but with expectation. Leave behind the worn-out garments of doubt and fear. Carry only what serves the purpose of your divine destiny. God is moving you into a place where the impossible becomes inevitable, where your every prayer finds an answer, where doors that were once shut now swing wide open. But understand this, miracles require movement. They demand that you step forward, even when the path is unclear, even when the natural says no. Faith is your passport, obedience is your ticket. In this new season, scarcity will give way to abundance. Weakness will transform into strength. Confusion will be replaced by clarity. What the enemy meant for harm, God is turning for your breakthrough. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is a sovereign declaration. So rise up, prepare your heart, steady your spirit, and pack your bags. Because the God who made the heavens and the earth is orchestrating a divine relocation. A relocation from waiting to winning, from struggle to supernatural favor. He is moving you into a season where your testimony will shout louder than your trials. Do not resist the call. Do not delay the departure. The time to move is now. Your miracle is not on hold. It is in motion. And when you arrive, you will know without a shadow of doubt. God's hand carried you into a realm where miracles live and breathe. Step out boldly because the season of your divine elevation has begun. When we say that God's movement is purposeful and unstoppable, we must grasp the full weight of what that truly means. This is not the movement of man who is often delayed by doubt, indecision, or circumstances. God's movement transcends time, space, and human limitation. It is deliberate, calculated by infinite wisdom, and executed with divine authority. When God decides to move, it is a command to the universe. Mountains shift, rivers change course, and obstacles crumble like dust. His plans are never random or accidental. Every step he takes is intentional, tailored perfectly to fulfill his promises over your life. Unlike human plans that can falter or fail, God's movement carries with it an unshakable guarantee. It is unstoppable because it is rooted in his unchanging nature. He does not waver, hesitate, or reconsider based on the fears or opinions of others. His purposes will be accomplished regardless of opposition, circumstance, or the voices that say impossible. This movement is like a divine tide that washes over everything standing in your way. No power in heaven or earth can halt it. Furthermore, this movement is designed not just to relocate your position, but to elevate your entire destiny. It is the unfolding of a plan that has been in motion since before the foundations of the world. God's timing is perfect because it synchronizes with your readiness, your faith, and his greater purpose. He moves you into alignment with your calling, positioning you where your gifts, breakthroughs, and miracles can be fully realized. To resist or delay this movement is to resist the very hand of God working on your behalf. Understanding the unstoppable nature of God's movement releases you from fear and hesitation. It reminds you that you are not alone, that forces far greater than any trial are working in your favor. When you sense this divine momentum, you must recognize it as a sacred invitation to advance, to trust, and to move forward boldly. This is the power that turns impossibilities into testimonies and ordinary moments into divine encounters. God's movement is not just powerful, it is inevitable, and it is coming for you. You are standing on the threshold of a new season, a season that has been carefully designed and ordained by God specifically for your breakthrough. This is not a random change or a casual shift in your circumstances. It is a deliberate and purposeful transition crafted by the hand of the Creator who knows your life intimately. Every season in your life carries a divine agenda, and this new season is unique. It is the time when everything that seems stalled or out of reach begins to align perfectly in your favor. This new season is a divine reset, a fresh start that moves you away from old struggles, old patterns, and limitations that have held you captive. It is a season that beckons you to rise higher, to operate in greater levels of faith, and to embrace the fullness of God's promises. You are not moving into this new phase by chance, but by divine orchestration. God has opened a new door, a door that leads to opportunities, blessings, and miracles that you have not yet seen or imagined. Entering this season requires a shift in mindset and spirit. It demands that you let go of what was and embrace what is coming with confidence and expectation. It is a time to release the past, disappointments and pain, understanding that God's plan is always forward moving and forward thinking. The new season carries with it fresh strategies, fresh anointing, and fresh favor. It is a time when your prayers find quick answers, when your steps are ordered, and when supernatural acceleration takes place. God's design for this season includes breakthrough in every area where you have prayed and hoped. It is a season of increased provision, divine connections, and new revelations. It is also a season that tests your faith, because every transition challenges you to trust God more deeply and to act boldly on His promises. The new season demands that you move beyond comfort zones and familiar ground to a place where miracles are not just stories, but your reality. This season is yours to possess, but it requires intentional movement and alignment with God's will. It is a divine invitation to step into your destiny with courage and confidence, knowing that what lies ahead is greater than what you leave behind. The promise of this new season is a future filled with hope, restoration, and supernatural favor. It is God's way of saying that your breakthrough is not just coming, it is already here, waiting for you to step into it. To fully embrace the season God is moving you into, you must first let go of the past, release the weight of doubt, fear, and every limitation that has kept you bound. The past, with all its failures, disappointments, and setbacks, is not your prison. It is a classroom from which you have graduated. Clinging to old narratives of inability or defeat only hinders your progress and blinds you to the new opportunities God is preparing for you. The moment you begin to carry yesterday's burdens into tomorrow's promises, you risk missing the fullness of what God wants to do in your life. Doubt is a thief, stealing your confidence and quieting the voice of faith inside you. Fear erects invisible barriers that keep you from stepping forward into God's plan. These emotions, though real and often overwhelming, have no place in the new season. They belong to a chapter that has closed. And the key to unlocking your future is found in releasing them. God is calling you to unshackle yourself from the chains of limiting beliefs and to embrace the truth of your divine identity, that you are chosen, empowered, and equipped for greatness. Letting go is not just a mental decision. It is a spiritual act of obedience. It requires faith to say goodbye to what you once knew and to trust God's promise of what is coming. It means rejecting the lies that say you are defined by your past mistakes or failures. Instead, you are defined by the God who calls you forward. This release creates space for the new blessings, new visions, and new miracles God wants to pour into your life. In this process, forgiveness may also be necessary, both of yourself and others. Holding on to resentment or regret acts like a weight, slowing your spiritual momentum. To move freely into the season of miracles, you must free your heart from bitterness and disappointment. Forgiveness does not erase the past, but it liberates your future. The act of leaving behind doubt, fear, and limitation is an act of faith in itself. It says, I trust that God's plan is bigger than my past. It is the decisive step that opens your heart to receive the fullness of God's movement. When you finally let go, you will discover that God replaces what was lost with something far greater. What once seemed like a dead end will become a launching pad for your breakthrough. Your past does not dictate your future. It prepares you for the destiny God is unfolding before you. The moment you release what holds you back is the moment you step into the freedom and favor of the new season. Preparation and urgency are the twin engines that propel you into the season God is calling you to. This is not a time for complacency or hesitation. It is a moment demanding deliberate readiness and swift action. Preparation is more than just planning. It is aligning your heart, mind, and spirit with God's purpose. It means cultivating the faith, discipline, and character necessary to walk confidently into what He has prepared. You cannot simply stumble into a season of miracles unprepared. Just as a farmer prepares the soil before planting, so must you prepare yourself to receive the harvest of God's promises. Urgency accompanies preparation because God's timing is precise and does not wait on human delays. When God calls you to move, it is an immediate summons to action. The longer you hesitate, the more opportunities may pass by, and the momentum of divine favor can be missed. Urgency is not about frantic rushing, but about recognizing the critical importance of the moment and responding with focused determination. It is a spiritual alertness that says, I am ready to act now, because God's move will not wait for me to be comfortable or fully ready by human standards. This season demands faith put into motion. It requires you to step out boldly, even when the full picture is not visible. Preparation involves equipping yourself spiritually, prayer, study, reflection, and also practically, making the necessary changes, letting go of distractions, and positioning yourself to move forward. But none of this preparation means anything without the urgency to act promptly. The two work together like the tension and release in music. Preparation builds the strength, and urgency delivers the breakthrough. God's miracles are tied to your response. Waiting passively or procrastinating can cause you to miss the divine appointments and the momentum of supernatural intervention. Urgency is recognizing that every moment counts in the unfolding of God's plan. It is an invitation to take responsibility for your destiny and to refuse to let fear, doubt, or delay steal your miracle. In the midst of preparation, be vigilant and ready to pivot when God signals the move. This readiness keeps your spirit sensitive to His voice and your feet poised to follow His lead without hesitation. Preparation and urgency are the sacred partnership that shifts you from waiting to winning, from promise to possession. This is the moment to move with confidence, to act decisively, and to carry the expectation that God's miraculous hand is upon your life. The season is ready for you. Are you ready to step in,